All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to December's session of QB Talks. I'm Cheska Cordero from Insightful Accountant and your host for today. Now, before we actually get started, I just wanted to throw out a little question of the day while everybody's kind of getting settled in front of their laptops, their phones, their tablets, what have you. And I'm going to go ahead and ask Liz a really quick question. Okay. So Liz, I've asked a few people this during Future Forward and a few other webinars, but since the holidays are coming up, I just really wanted to know, just so I could have a little bit of a bigger roster for this Christmas. What are your top 3 favorite holiday movies?
Holiday movies. It's got to be A Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation, and then Charlie Brown.
Oh no, Charlie Brown. I completely forgot about that.
That was
I completely
easy.
forgot about that. Yeah, you came up with those answers fast. Like other people had to kind of think about it for like a couple seconds, and
Well, they just
you
run
had
on
them immediately.
They're all good ones.
And of course,
Oh,
the
Laura.
number one answer was Home Alone.
Yeah, that was
No.
my top one because it's a little bit of a classic for me just because I was that generation of a kid.
Yeah.
And the other was Elf, I think.
Yeah,
Everybody loved
we
Elf.
have Laura that says Elf.
Yeah, I'm fine with Elf. I like it too.
I love
But
Elf.
the Christmas Carol. There's a couple of other ones that are good, but I prefer the Disney version of the Christmas Carol.
Ooh, yeah. There are a lot of people in the chat. They're saying Polar Express, Charlie Brown too, and the Grinch. That's great.
Oh, okay, all right. Kimberly, I forgot the Grinch. That is one of my all-time favorites.
Like
Oh,
the
and
original cartoon one is fantastic. That's my favorite one.
okay,
Nothing can beat that.
At Future Forward, we renamed the Grinch to be the Murph that stole Christmas.
Let's hope you
and
don't,
his heart
Murph.
grew 2 sizes. Die
Ooh,
Hard.
Die Hard.
Ah.
Love that. I love that answer. Every time that comes up, absolutely love it.
One of my other favorites, it's like, is it Christmas or is it Halloween or is it something in between? Is The Nightmare Before
Time
Christmas.
for Christmas, yes.
Yes. So you want to
I
see my
watch it
nails?
in the
Because
middle.
they're
Oh, that's so cute.
so they're very Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's a little in between for that. I watch it like right after Halloween finishes, and that's Chris. Everybody's getting ready for Christmas, so that's fun.
It's a good one. It's a classic.
Yeah, for sure. Like you
It is
cannot
now.
escape it. Like a lot of merch is out too.
Oh gosh, yeah, of course. I love that part.
Okay, all right. Since we do have quite a people in already, we're gonna go in and keep the ball rolling. Sorry, I cannot talk today. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to December session of QB Talks. Again, I am Cheska Cordero from Insightful Accountant and your host for today. In this webinar, we'll be going over QuickBooks Online year-end readiness tips. Now, we have a very informative and fun QB Talks webinar lined up for you today as we dive into ways to prep yourselves and your clients with essential tools and tips for achieving year-end readiness with Liz Scott and William Murphy. Now, they will guide you through the powerful capabilities of QuickBooks Online with a few new features to streamline your year-end processes. I'll have them introduce themselves in just a little bit after I cover a few of the housekeeping items. Now, there is no CPE for this webinar as it is just 30 minutes. And if you have any questions, you guys please enter them in the Q&A panel. And I want you guys to be specific. You know the drill. You can't just say what you mean. You got to ask Liz or Murph, what did you mean? But you guys really like Elf. You guys really like the Grinch, you guys missed Charlie Brown and what have you. Just because they might not get to your questions right after you put them in the Q&A panel. So it's basically just to kind of give them a bit of context as to what you meant by your question. Now, we will be sending a link to the recording after the webinar, and it will also be up on our YouTube page within about 24 hours if you want to go and check it out over there. You'll find many other webinars along with the older sessions of QB Talks that might be of interest to you. And I'll also be putting that link to our YouTube channel right into our chat, as well as the copy of the slide deck. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just say that the webinar was 30 minutes? Sorry, I meant an hour. That was my mistake. I was reading off a script that I wrote. I'm really sorry. Lastly, You guys do not forget that Insightful Accountants 2024 Pro Advisor Awards applications and nominations are still ongoing. And what does it take to be a part of Insightful Accountants 2024 Pro Advisor Awards? Well, according to Murph, all it takes is for you to participate. Now, there are two ways to participate. It's either being nominated by someone else or nominating yourself and giving yourself a little pat on the back, a little boost in confidence there. Now, I'll be putting that link right into our chat for you guys to go ahead and check out. And what else? Actually, no, I'm done. I'm done. Liz and Murph, that's it for me. Welcome and thanks for being here.
And I'll just mention right now that the way things are going, at least 75% of the nominations are self-nominations. So folks, don't think anything bad about nominating yourself, because 75% of all our nominations thus far have been pro advisors nominating themselves.
Murph, was there information about Avid Exchange in a poll?
So our sponsor is Avid Exchange, and they provide a seamless integration with all QuickBooks editions for accounts payable, and they make your payment automation faster and easier than ever. And if you'd like more information about Avid Exchange and the opportunity to possibly win a gift certificate for signing up for a demo, you can answer yes to the polling question. And Jessica, you want to throw that poll open? Nope, that's the wrong
Sorry,
one.
the wrong one came up.
Yep.
There we go.
So once again, folks, if you'd like more information about Avid Exchange and scheduling a demo to win a $50 MasterCard e-card, then go ahead and answer yes. I mean, who doesn't need the extra $50 right now at Christmas time?
Always. Well, my favorites are the e-cards. Those are great. You can do anything with them. Amazon's always good too.
And so let's count this down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we don't need to see the results of that. So
Right.
Liz, I'll let you go ahead and do introductions.
All right. Well, my name is Liz Scott, and I'm happy to be here with all of you. I was talking the other day that I had heard somebody say that when they knew that gaming could actually be a job, they did whatever it took in order to be able to get that job. And that's the exact same way that I feel about what I get to do in my daytime. And that's be able to create content for my community. I've tried a lot of different things. Some stuff works, some stuff doesn't. And so it's always fun to be able to share those experiences. And so at the core of what I do is try to share the knowledge that I've gained, either the easy way or the hard way. So I like writing the Monday minutes that come out every other week about QuickBooks Online. I like to stay up to date on all of the apps. And so you can check me out over at the Appy Hour with Liz and Heather. And then I get to do a couple of other cool things with Intuit. So it's a pretty awesome experience. Murph, you have been my good friend and mentor for a long time, and I am grateful to be able to be with you today.
Well, thank you so much. And of course, I think everybody knows that I've been around since day one in terms of QuickBooks. I bought the very first copy of QuickBooks ever sold in the state of Oklahoma, and I've been using it ever since. And while I am not really active in terms of having client practice these days, I spend plenty of time writing for Insightful Accountant, and I do get to administer the now what we're calling Pro Advisor Awards. We used to call them the top 100, but now that we have not only the domestic awards of 100 top pro advisors, but the international awards and also our up and coming awards, then, it's a tremendous opportunity to meet people who I've never known before. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Liz and let her tell you something about getting ready for your year end.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am glad to be here talking about year end because that means that we have almost wrapped up another year. And we are going to be going through some things that I find important. This is some of the activities that we do in our firm. So I'm kind of giving you some of those insights. And some of what we're going to be doing is going to be inside of QuickBooks Online Advanced. The reason for that is, oftentimes I'm asked why QuickBooks Online Advanced. I want to show you some of the reasons why. And if you have not tried Advanced, your firm has the QuickBooks Online Advanced version. So as far as being a pro advisor, you should have been upgraded from a Plus subscription to an Advanced subscription. So that's going to be some of what I'm going to show you. And then going to go through books review. So what is important there? How can you clean up books? I got a phone call just this morning, and it was somebody who was asking me to do a cleanup of the entire year. And I was able to use Books Review in order to get some insights as to what to charge. And so that was really, really helpful. So within 30 minutes, I could kind of give them a ballpark figure. And then we're going to do some data cleanup with the spreadsheet sync. That's another one of my favorite features in Advanced. So that's going to be something we got there. And then the chart of accounts template, that's in the various different versions. So you've got that. And then the balance sheet budgeting is inside of Plus and in Advanced. So I'm not only going to show you the balance sheet, but I'm also going to talk about the profit and loss and where we use that inside of our own firm. So without further ado, I'm going to start with the 1099 reporting for year end. I've got slides and I can talk you through all of these slides, or I can go and show you. So those of you who know me know that I really do like to go and show slides. So that is going to be what I'm going to take you through. So for just a moment, I am going to pull up the QuickBooks file. So that way you should be able to see it with me. This I've got inside of a QuickBooks file. This is a demo file, and I'm going to go ahead and generate a report here from scratch. And this is an advanced subscription. So one of the things that you can see is create new report. That is one of the reasons why I do like advanced. Many of us want to be able to slice and dice data, and there are not really good reports that are inside of QuickBooks naturally that have 1099 information. So instead of spending hours and hours of going through data and trying to sort and filter and then go back and forth between looking at vendors, this is a report that I've created inside of QuickBooks Online Advanced in order to be able to look through to see who should receive 1099s. If you're somebody who uses the 1099 wizard that's inside of the vendor center, nothing wrong with that. But it's really difficult to look at what is going to be the projection for this year's 1099, because that screen is not going to generate for information for 1099s until the year has finished. So that's going to be one of the reasons why proactively we come over here and we create this custom report. So I'm going to walk you through those steps. So we're going to create a new report, and it's going to be a blank report. And I'm going to start by, let me make sure I come back here. I'm going to start by the report wizard. I could start by adding my own columns, but there is a report that's a good baseline. Oops, and it's my expenses report. And then from here, I can start to pull in data. So because this is a demo file, I'm going to need to pull in last year's data. And then I can start to edit my columns. So I'm going to come over here to customize my columns. and I'm going to be looking at my expense accounts. So I could pull in my transaction number if I needed that. In my case, I really don't care about transaction number. I do care about the amount. And then I can scroll down here and I could look at what additional things might I want to look at. Vendor name, that would be something, as well as track 1099. This 1099 printed, if you're somebody who's utilizing that functionality inside of QuickBooks, then that's going to be something that will help you. Account information, so I can put in here account type. I could put in here a few other pieces of information. So we've got all of our key pieces of information here, and that way we could look to see what all our details that we want to generate. And then I can come over here and payment method. I don't think that's really going to be something that will apply to us. I could reorder or I could take away. I don't care about open balance. I don't care about customer name. And I really don't care maybe even about paid status, class, or location. So those are all things that I could remove from this list. And then from here, what I could start to do is come over and group that information. So if I wanted to now take all of this data and I wanted to start to group it by vendor name, I can start to see data generated that I could go through, and I could look at my report here and I could see, is this a vendor that has been tracked with 1099 already? And if it's somebody that I know should be a product or service that should be tracked, then I can come over into that vendor and I can change the status as to whether or not that vendor should be tracked. The other thing that I could do is I could group this by account name. So that's going to really help you to generate this report, utilize it for tracking 1099. I'm going to show you some of the information that, pulling in from last year. I saved a report so that way I could come over and I could pull it up to see, here's my accounts. Again, if I wanted to group by, I could choose to put in my account instead of doing vendors. Here's another really good way to look at the data. I can even collapse my data. If I only wanted to look at contract labor, who were those vendors that I had paid in the year? And I could even see, okay, I've got 2 different vendors that are not being tracked right now as 1099 vendors. So this is a really cool report. I do a couple of extra things to it by coming over and saying, let's filter it down. So I've got my account and I might come over and say, I want it to equal contract labor. I could come over here and I could say, I want it to equal, are they 1099 vendors? So you could do additional filtering here, but my favorite part of this is being able to say, do I want to group by an account? Because that way I can start to dive into what are some of these, what are some of the accounts that I want to be able to track. And it's maybe less important to see vendor name, and it's more important to be able to see those various different accounts. But then again, I can always go back over to my vendors and I can see that grouped data here, as well as my total, and then drill down even deeper if I wanted to. So this is going to be, one of my go-to tips for those of you, especially if you're going to be doing this for your own firm. Looking at this report is going to help you to, even just in your firm, figure out who needs a 1099 and who doesn't. All right, I am going to come over and look at chat to see what's going on over here. Marty, can you subtotal that report by name? Yes, I absolutely could. You can see right here, in fact, if I come up to these 3 little dots and I say expand or I say collapse all, either way, I've got my subtotal. Cat add labor to all labor accounts so I can find them easily. Yeah, so depending on how you want to group it, absolutely you can customize this report. I'm going to come back over to slides and I'm going to show you that, yes, there is a PDF of the slides for today that has been uploaded. And you can see here that step by step, I'm walking you through how to create that customized report, how to group it, how to even filter it. So that way you've got some steps in order to help you with those clients or even yourself that has QuickBooks Online Advanced. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else over here that I need to be able to see. So customize, and then can I run a basic report and then customize it? So Cheryl, I have not found a way to be able to make a report like this inside of any other subscription level. So yes, you could do a report that would be kind of a traditional method, which would be to run a profit and loss. You could look at the various accounts, you could pull it up, you could drill into the details. So that is what I consider kind of the long way, but that is also a very, very viable option for accounts that do not have the advanced subscription. This is another view.
You might have noticed in today's Insightful Accountant, our headline about the new reporting coming out day after tomorrow. And many of the features and functionalities that Liz was demonstrating here that are in the advanced feature are going to be available in the other reporting. So you may very well be able to build this after the 15th, but unfortunately, it's not going to be released to everybody at the same time. So whether you'll have it before the end of the year, that's anybody's guess.
Well, I think, just like what you said, people get stuff rolled out at different times. So, we probably won't all see it exactly at the same time, but it's coming. It's coming. So the next thing that I want to take you through is looking at the books review. And so I'm curious, if you don't mind throwing into chat, are you using books review for your clients? Because I think that it's one of those tools that's available in just about every single subscription. And Kat said yes, but not everybody's using it. So I'm going to go ahead and go through what are some of the cool things about the books review. So I'm going to pull up a different QuickBooks file and have that open so that way we can look at it together. And again, everything that I'm going to be doing today is available in the slides. So I do like to stay inside of QuickBooks itself, but you can see that all of the things that we're going to be covering are in these slides. So I am going to be pulling over a different QuickBooks file. This is a plus subscription. This is not an advanced subscription. And I'm going to come over here to books review. So one of the things that was added this year to books review was this setup. And the setup allows you to work with a brand new client. Maybe there's balances that are incorrect. And so you want to come through and look at maybe an old bank account. Like, if there's something that needs to be zeroed out, you certainly could do that here. You could actually say, where do you want to offset that account to? So you could put that into some type of holding account, or you could put it into a place in order to be able to say, okay, put it into opening, beginning balance, and then you can play with that later. But then I can put in my adjustment, and then I'd be able to see just exactly what it is that I want to adjust. So adjust that difference. And then I would be able to do that, except for I have closed the books for that account. So I'll keep going on because that's kind of a funny thing. So not only can you change your beginning balances, so if you had somebody who came to you and they had some really wonky balances, you can certainly use that functionality. The other thing that you can do is come over here to the transactions review, and you can look to see, here's transactions without payees. So if you're somebody who might want to come through and you want to look at these different lists and you think, okay, well, these professional fees, you know what those are. Maybe all of those are going to be something that you say, add this payee to it. You could come through, you could pull in the payee that matches it. We're just going to put one in here, and then I could say apply. So there is now the bulk functionality inside of the books review. So that way you could add payees. The other thing that you can see here is the unapplied, as well as being able to look at your accounts. So if I wanted to change the account mapping. Maybe if I had some transactions that I wanted to adjust, if they were inside of a uncategorized transaction, you can actually do that same thing here. If I had transactions that were uncategorized, I would be able to see those. I could even create one real quick. Let's go ahead and do that because I think that it's helpful to see those. Let's add a new expense or two. We're going to put these under this year, and I'm going to put that onto uncat. And then I'm just going to put a dollar amount here. I'm going to say save and new. Let's do a second one. And then who am I paying? I'm just going to put in any type of vendor. Again, I'm going to pull in uncat. And then I'm going to save and close. Now I can go back over into my books review, and I can actually change those transactions to be categorized. Let's see, what date range am I looking at? I want to show all of this year. And then here's my two uncategorized transactions. If I knew what they were, I could actually go ahead and reclassify again in bulk. So I do have the option in order to be able to say what it is that was done. So I'm going to just say repairs. And that would be a quick way in order to categorize transactions that maybe were sitting in places that they shouldn't be. Okay, so that's very, very cool. I do want to go back over to slides and then show you something else here. So here's the beginning balances, going through, making our adjustment, looking at our transactions that are uncategorized, looking at our vendors that are missing. So this is kind of the how-to to do that. And again, because you can do it in bulk, it's a whole lot faster. If you are somebody who is using bank feeds and you're pulling in that memo, that's going to be one of those ways that you can actually sort those transactions that maybe don't have payees really quickly. So that's going to definitely help you. And so you can sort that up and down that list in order to be able to find like type of descriptions. And then you can give them vendor names. And then the wrap up, this is that last piece of the books review. So are there any type of reports that you want to send out? Do you want to close the books? That's part of the steps in our process for year end as we go ahead and close the books. So that way a prior period is not being edited, because we want to be able to continue to match the tax returns. So lots of goodies there. Let me see. Yes, lots of people who are saying that they are using books review. So super cool. I'm almost even curious, in what ways are you using book review? Was it kind of like what I did today? Do you have other tips? So if you want to throw those in there, books review is pretty handy. You can add to-do items inside of books review, and that's going to give you some flexibility as to how you use it. So Marty is saying that they also create some special tasks. So that's a good way to use it. I've got a question that just came through here. Well, hello. Hi, Wendy. Okay, so spreadsheet sync. Here is another feature that for year end is killer. So there's a couple of different ways that we use spreadsheet sync. This is a QuickBooks Online advanced feature. And so you do need to have a client who is inside of advanced. Again, as a pro advisor, you do get the advanced subscription. So play around with it. Do some of these types of tests. See if you like it, because this is something that is going to allow you to clean up data. It's going to allow you to make some mass edits. If you have somebody who comes to you and they've got a big cleanup project, I'm going to recommend putting them in advanced during the cleanup. You may decide you want to keep them there, but at least during the cleanup stage, that's a good way to utilize QuickBooks Online Advanced. One of the cool things that I've talked about for quite a while, and that Murph has shared with me throughout the years, is the accountant data utility tools that are out there. And what those are designed to do is make mass edits to QuickBooks Online in bulk. That is the same thing that Spreadsheet Sync does. So if you are somebody who's been using something like ZXS or CData or Transaction Pro or any of those types of like tools, you know, check out the spreadsheet sync because it might actually do some of those things and it's included in that advanced subscription. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start with one of the areas to clean up at year end is open invoices. These can be a hot mess. And what I do is I'll run a report and I will tell my clients to go through and let me know what has happened with these open invoices. And if there are invoices that I need to write off, that's something that I want them to tell me, and I can actually do that write off utilizing spreadsheet sync. So I'm going to share my screen again. That way, my screen with QuickBooks. Let's see, let me make sure I'm pulling up. Yeah, okay, so here's my advanced subscription right here. And this is another demo file that I've got. And this one we're going to be using with our spreadsheet sync. So I'm going to come over to reports. And I want to pull an open invoice report. So let me just type that up here in the search. And here's my open invoice report. This is going to tell me for a given period, because you could always search, is it going to be a certain date range that you want to pull up? You can see all of these are from 2022, so they are going to be written off. So I have some control over what I can do with that write-off, but let me start with pulling over our spreadsheet sync. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to our home. I'm going to clear our data here. And this is spreadsheet sync. So if you're inside of QuickBooks Online Advanced and you're not sure exactly how to access it, you can go up to this gear icon and you can click on spreadsheet sync. That's going to open up that screen that I was just looking at with Excel. I've just already started it. And then here we are. It will ask you to log in to the QuickBooks file because you want to be able to sync the data. And then you've got some options over here. So one of the things that I have seen spreadsheet sync used for is reports, being able to pull those down into Excel, being able to manipulate those and, pull that data. And you can even create some, more robust analysis inside of Excel. And there's also this multi-company report, so you can merge some reports. But I'm going to go over here and I want to add and edit data. So I want to click on this add and edit. I'm going to pull up my QuickBooks file that has got the data that I want to use. And then I'm going to pull up the templates. And so what the templates are saying is what kind of information do I want to access to make edits to? So because I was looking at my open invoices, this is going to be the choice. I'm going to pull up my invoices. And instead of adding new records, which I could, I'm going to I want to edit. So I want to grab the information that's here. I could pull in some information about when do I want that date range. And so in my case, I was looking at 2022. So I could search this, but I don't really need to. I'm just going to go ahead and pull in my transaction type, and that's going to be my invoice. So I'm going to load my data. And it's going to pull in those open invoices that we were just looking at. So here's my open invoices. I've got all of my information here to be able to see. Now, I want to have the opportunity to create credit memos. The reason that I'm not just using the write-off tool that's inside of QuickBooks Online, inside of our toolbox, is that I want control over the date. And I want to be able to make sure that I'm mapping to the account that I want to map to. And so this is going to allow me to do that. So I'm going to grab the information here because I'm going to use this. And this is going to be information that I'm going to use in order to create my credit memos. So here's my, oops, there's even one more up there at the top. I didn't see that one. So here's all of my data that I want to grab. I'm going to come over into a blank Excel sheet and I'm going to store that information for a moment because over in spreadsheet sync, I'm going to start with new data. I want to be able to create these credit memos. and I want to do it in bulk. And so I'm using that invoice information in order to come through and start to create credit memos. So I am going to say edit, because I want to be able to pull in that credit memo template. I can say the beginning of time, and then here's where I'm going to choose my transaction type as credit memo. My template is going to load. And then with that template, let's try that again, because, oops, I should be able to grab those records. Let's come back over here. We're going to say, from beginning of time, get those records. We should have some here, but if not, that's okay. We're just going to start from scratch. Okay, well, fine then. So let's go back over to, I want to edit, let's add new. And then what we're going to do is, I still want to use that template. So we've got the template that's sitting here. I want to scroll all the way over, and I'm going to paste all of the information that I grabbed earlier. So here's all of my invoice information. I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to paste it all. So I've got all of my open invoice data. And then now what I'm going to do is I want to change a couple of things. I want this to be a credit memo. So all of these are going to now be credit memos. My numbers, I think it's really important to keep like numbers together. So the thing that I do inside of any type of cleanup like this is I put in credit memo. So I'm still keeping that same invoice number, but I am adding in the CM so that way I can control. I can control the invoice number. And then over here, I can start to come over and I can put in what date do I want to write off. So maybe I have a particular date in mind and I want to be able to say this date is going to be something I want to apply to all. And then even my invoice and my due date for my credit memo. Okay, so here we go. And then the last piece of information that I'm going to change is I'm going to say yes to go ahead and update QuickBooks with this information. So instead of getting information, oh, I might be steering you wrong here, folks. Add new, so I want to add new. Okay, and then now I'm going to sync that information to QuickBooks. So I can sync, and yes, please go ahead and update that. So what is happening here is it doesn't like the fact that I didn't have a credit memo. So I had a little bit of an error there, but let's come back over here and I'll just show you what was missing. Was it does need to have a template for a credit memo to begin with, because it doesn't like not having something to pull from. So I could put in here some type of services. We're just going to put in sales. It doesn't really matter. And then our dollar amount of 1. And we're going to save and close. Okay. So let's take over here and we're just going to put in 1,005. Let's just do 2 because I know that number doesn't exist. All right. So now we've got these credit memos that exist. I come back over here into my spreadsheet sync, and then I want to edit information. I'm going to pull those, the credit memos, and I'm going to get those records. And then I'm going to do that same thing, that task again, in order to make sure that I have. Oh, it did create my credit memos. It just gave me that error that it didn't. Ha ha ha. Yay. All right, cool. So it did work. I just got an error message. All right. So when I come back over into QuickBooks, I can say, let's run that report. And then here are all of the credit memos that were just generated. So you can see if I had a ton of credit memos or invoices that I needed to write off, this would be a super fast way to be able to create the credit memos in order to apply to the open invoices. So, oh, thank you, Megan. So Megan's telling me that I had chosen vendor credit and that's why I had gotten the error. You know, doing live demo, you know, funny things happen. So anyway, this is our trick for what we do in order to write off open invoices. I want to show you a couple of ways to use spreadsheet sync in some other fashions. But I do want to show you inside of the PDF, you do have this step-by-step of what I did, what that looks like, and then how you would apply it. So I want to also talk about the account cleanup. And where this comes into play is earlier we were talking about doing batch cleanup inside of our books review. One of the only things that we're able to do there is grab the uncategorized transaction account. What if I've got other accounts that I want to change? I think that there's some errors, and this would allow me to grab all of the information, make any changes that I needed to, and I would be able to see that I want to do some account cleanup that could allow me to do some account cleanup with vendors. Maybe I want to add payees. Maybe I want to add an expense account. The other thing sometimes you want to do is clean up undeposited funds. So one of the common things that happens every single year is we go through and we look at our clients' books, and we'll see a whole bunch of deposits that have been put into a bank account, but they don't actually match the bank account that was used. Or they don't actually match the grouped deposit. That's a big pain. So one of the things that you can do is you can actually go over and you can look at your bank account, and you can see all of those, in this case, sales receipts. You could grab all of those sales receipts, and then you could actually change the deposit to account into undeposited funds, and you can sync this back, and all of those accounts are then going to be updated. And now, instead of having these sales receipts go directly to a bank account, I was able to put them to undeposited funds. And here is where I can do the cleanup in creating some batched deposits. That's another cool way in order to use Spreadsheet Sync. The other one that I want to show you is adding payees. So we were talking about making some transaction changes. So you can see here, I've pulled up a report, and I can see that I've got uncategorized transactions. I've got checks that don't have payees. And so instead of utilizing the books review, maybe I could, also look at other types of accounts that I want to change. So same thing again, I'm going to go back over into my spreadsheet sync. I'm going to choose my template, and in this case, it's going to be expenses. And then I can pull up any of these transactions that need to be changed, and I can filter these to just show me a particular expense account that I want to edit. And then I can make that bulk change by even adding any type of vendor names. You can see here that each of these columns, because it is Excel, can be sorted and filtered. And then here's where I would be able to make those updates. I can sync it back over into QuickBooks, and then I would be able to have my changes, and all of those dollars that were in uncategorized transactions now are in repairs and maintenance. So it's a really cool way to be able to utilize Spreadsheet Sync. I'm curious if there's any of you who are here that have been using Spreadsheet Sync, and if so, are you using for the report functionality, or are you doing bulk cleanup here as well? One of the things I do want to share with you is, if you've downloaded the handouts, these are all videos where I go through each of these different step-by-steps. I walk you through how to do each one of these. It's a little video for just a guide to help you to go through it. But I will go ahead and go back over, and I'll look at Spreadsheet Sync again. And I'm going to come over inside of my dashboard. Let's go look at one of these registers. Let's see, I've got these sales receipts that went directly to the bank account. So this is going to be that fix where I want to put these in undeposited funds. So if I come back over here and I look at my bank deposit, you can see I've got nothing here. So I'm going to come back over into my Spreadsheet Sync. I'm going to start with new information. So I'm going to go home. Yes, I want to clear that data. And then I'm going to add and edit, pull in my company. I'm going to pull in the types of transactions that I want to use. In this case, it's the sales receipt. I want to pull in these particular sales receipts. And again, you could filter that information. If you have a lot of months that you're working with, you could do 1 month at a time. And then here is where I would be able to grab just my sales receipts. So post type is going to be sales receipts. Oh, sales receipts, okay. And then from here, this is going to be super simple. I'm going to change this from the demo to undeposited funds. I'm going to come over here, change this to yes. And now I can sync to QuickBooks. That was the only change that I needed to, oops, I want to make that a change to all of these. That was the only change I needed to make. And then I'm going to sync this to QuickBooks. And then I'm going to be able to go back over into QuickBooks, and I'm going to refresh my bank account so you can see these numbers change. My sales receipts are now missing from here. If I come over into my bank deposit, now you can see those sales receipts have been grouped here. I recommend doing this by month if you've got a lot of data that you want to go and clean up. And then I can grab all of those and I can make my batch deposit. And now over inside of my bank account, I can see that batch deposit. That's a super cool way to utilize spreadsheet sync. So same thing with being able to do it with vendors. I could go through and I could look at my expense transactions. I could pull up my profit and loss. And then I see a question as I'm pulling this up. I'm seeing a question. Elaine, does the client have to be using advanced? Yes, this is at this time an advanced feature. But I can also see here, I've got these uncategorized transactions. If I wanted to do something with those, I would be able to do the same thing over inside of Spreadsheet Sync. You can see I don't have names. These all happen to be checks. This is kind of a traditional thing that happens, you know, for our clients that we don't have bank access, or the bank statements do not have check names on there. So I can come back over here and I can look at Spreadsheet Sync, go back to home, clear my data, add and edit, and then pull in the type of transactions that I want to edit. And then I can go through and I can make all of these same types of edits to my, here we go, to my transactions. Wait, where did my expenses go? Purchases, there we go, sorry. Purchases throws me just about every single time. All right, so I want to load. And I think of purchases as an account, not a transaction type. All right, so the only thing that I want over here is my uncategorized. So if I wanted to deselect all, just select uncat, here we go. Now I can pull in, maybe I want these to be repairs and maintenance. I can pull that down all the way through. I can come over here and I could add my payee. I don't know what payees. Okay, there we go. Bob. Let's pull him down. And then over here with our yes, we're going to pull that down here as well. And now I'm going to say sync to QuickBooks. All right, so it tells me I have success. I'm going to go back over into QuickBooks. This is what my report looked like a minute ago. I want to go ahead and refresh this report, and we should have a $0 balance now. So if we went back over into our reports and we looked at our P&L, we would be able to see that no longer do we have any transactions sitting in uncategorized. They're now all moved over into repairs and maintenance. The biggest difference between utilizing the books review or the spreadsheet sync is you only have access to the uncategorized transactions in book review, but you have access to all accounts over inside a spreadsheet sync. So it's common for, you know, errors to be made with the accounts. You can make those adjustments in bulk. So it's a good use of being able to do something quickly whenever you want to do some mass edits at especially year end. Looks like there's a couple of questions. Any way to have a restore point if you need to do undo? Marty, I've not seen an undo buttons, because I think that's like what you're looking for is an undo button. So I'm going to come back over and
Liz, over in actual questions, there's one question open from Wendy. If you would address the permissions that are required for books review.
Oh, sure. So is there a way to use books review if you are not marked as an accountant? No, because let me come back over here in QuickBooks and let me show you. So I'm in a QuickBooks file. Let me move my little Zoom thing out of the way. And I have to have this accountant toolbox. Or sorry, I'm sorry. I need to be able to see that I'm in the accountant version, because over here, the books review, that functionality is only available to accountants. So the only way that you're going to have access to this screen is being logged in as the accountant. So you know, one way to be able to know you're logged in as the accountant is these accountant tools. So great question. I'm going to say that I answered that one live. Let me come back over into what else is new. This is not something that is just specific to advanced. So a lot of you out there, they're like, I don't want to know more about advanced. Cool. This is something that's available to various different subscription levels. But again, you do need to be logged in as an accountant, and then you can start to make chart of account templates. I love this functionality. This is something that we've been looking for a while. And so to be able to go in and make your own templates, this is awesome. So you can start with creating a new template. You can say what it is that you're going to be generating. So what type of business is it? And then you can start to create a new template. You can go in and you can name all of these accounts. If you have a Excel file, you could actually copy and paste inside of here. You could actually use an existing chart of accounts if you want to. But then once you have created the chart of accounts that is going to be your template, then you can actually apply it to various different QuickBooks files. One thing that I'm going to note is I have not seen a limitation as the date range as when you can apply this. So for me, we work with franchises, and those franchises change their chart of accounts from time to time. And so one of the things that I could do is I could go in and I could make these types of edits, and then I can say apply the template. If an account already exists, it's not going to duplicate it. It's going to recognize that that account is already there. And so I won't have to worry about any type of duplications. I'll just get that traditional little red error that says can't do. So that's kind of a nice thing to know. And you can create different templates for different types of businesses. Since I'm working with some franchises, I can name my templates, what those franchises are. I've seen this used for different industries. You know, if you're inside of a specific industry, like the landlord, so a rental type of businesses, you know, that's a very specific chart of account. You could actually create that template and then you could apply it. So that's kind of a new thing that I think is pretty cool. And then anytime you want to edit it, you certainly can. There is a question about the handout, how you download that. So Murph, are you able to answer that one, how they would be able to get access to the handout? All right, thank you. Balance sheet budgeting. So this is available to QuickBooks Online Plus and QuickBooks Online Advanced. If you want to put in chat like what you would be using a balance sheet budget for, I think that that's kind of an interesting ask that QuickBooks had this need. So, you know, I'm constantly thinking about like, where exactly would I apply this? But it is something that's new and it is something that's available. So I will go back over into QuickBooks. I will show you this live. We will look at how you're going to create this report and some things that are different, because on this balance sheet, we do have our balances that are available. So let me come over into QuickBooks. Let's go ahead and say that we want to create a budget, and I'm going to create a budget here. I'm going to choose my balance sheet. I can pull in, I want to make a balance sheet for next year. I want my date range to be monthly. I think that's always the most helpful. And then you can see, here's my assets, liabilities, and then equity. So if I wanted to maybe have a bank account balance that I want to have, set dollars, I would be able to say, maybe I'd never want my bank account balance to go below 15,000. Oops, 15,000. So I could copy that across. That would be something that I can stay aware of. And then, other things I could do is I could put in, if I had credit cards, the payoff for those credit cards, what are the balances that I want to have. This demo file doesn't have it, but those are the kinds of things that you could do inside of this balance sheet budget, so you could keep track of it and you could look to see month after month, are you meeting your targets? Are you keeping your minimum account balance? Are you paying down credit cards as you expected? So those would be some things that you could create. But I'm somebody who's a fan of the profit and loss budgets. So anytime that I'm thinking about creating a budget, I'm always going to be thinking about my P&L. So this is going to be my go-to. And then, of course, here's a new cool thing that they've got. So just like what we did a minute ago, where we were able to take a dollar amount and we can copy it over. One of my new favorite things is to be able to come over here and say, all right, well, what if I wanted to have sales of $100,000? So now they do a split that would go all the way across. So that's a cool new ad. And then, of course, the thing that's always helpful is to then create a budgets versus actual report. So that report is something that I do talk through with my clients, because it is important for them to be aware. These are going to be slides that'll take you through it. And then this would be an example of the type of conversation that I would have with the client. They had budgeted X amount of dollars. They were expecting to have more dollars inside of materials income than what they did. So these are the kinds of areas that are you can improve, and they can see that kind of improvement. So I am really grateful for everybody's time today, and we went through quite a bit. Share with me how you're doing with these various different features. Books review is available to any accountants that's out there. And then some of these other things were advanced features, but as a pro advisor, you already have an advanced subscription. So I say test it and use it. Because if you're like me, I am the worst at doing my own bookkeeping. I'll stay up on my clients, and then at year end, I'm doing a cleanup just for myself. So if you're like me, you want to test it out in a place that you could actually, it's kind of a safe environment, go and try it out on your books. Murph, I am going to pass it over to you.
So folks, we have one more poll that I'm going to ask Cheska to open. We want to know if you would be interested in participating in a QB Talks that will be a live open chat. You'll be on mic where you can discuss issues surrounding either the Pro Advisor awards, have questions about that, or also talk about what's new, the reimagined Pro Advisor program. And if you'd like to participate in a QB Talks like that, then go ahead and answer definitely yes. If you think you might, well, answer maybe. And if you're not interested at all, go ahead and say no way.
I'm going to say definitely yes. That would be a fun webinar to attend.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll for everybody.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get it answered,
right.
folks.
Thanks, Murph. All right.
And Cheska, if you would show the answers to that.
All right, sure.
Cool. Probably
Okay.
not. That surprises me.
That sounds so fun.
I think so too. I would be in. Very cool. It's a
All
very
right. 56% though said definitely or maybe. So great. Folks, that's what we've got for you today. And want to thank Liz for being here and giving us her time and expertise. And hopefully everybody learned something. So we will see you next month.
Thank you, everyone. Bye, Murph.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
You too.
Happy holidays.
Yep. See you next year. Bye.
Bye.